Welcome back, everyone. It is your friendly neighborhood monkey sentinel, and this is going to be the first of a new series of videos that I'm going to do that focuses on pet channels, specifically pet monkeys. And I also want to address the history of using these animals in a form of exploitation. So, like show business or the shows that you see on the streets, Topeng Monyet, which was outlawed in Indonesia in 2013. Pretty much every culture that has monkeys that are indigenous also has some way of habituating individual animals so that they will perform for the benefit of human beings. So I want to talk about all of that. And I was actually knee deep in, well, I'm sorry, I was probably neck deep in research on the performance aspect that goes back thousands of years, or at least 1,000 documented years, when two things happened that kind of gave me a kick in the butt to move in a very specific direction very quickly.
Look, stop that! Chicken!
So the first thing that happened was the tragic shooting of Bradley, the Japanese macaque that escaped his home enclosure in South Carolina, the United States. Bradley got out, and at some point, a resident saw him. Out of fear for his own pet, the resident shot Bradley and killed him. There is a great documentary that I want to mention right now called Finding Sanctuary, and it is put out by the Born Free USA nonprofit that is exceptional. And in this documentary, it's mostly covering the consequences of having a pet monkey in the United States, but almost always it ends in some form of heartbreak or tragedy. The second thing that happened that has pushed me in the direction I'm going to go in today was that just a couple of nights ago, my son was at one of his dance classes and he noticed a group of his friends sitting in the corner and they were scrolling through a phone. So he went over, and when he did, he was appalled to discover that they were looking at baby monkey videos. And he tried to explain to them that the situations those animals are often really traumatic, and that this is an incredibly unhealthy environment for them. And they were really genuinely puzzled, and they looked at the phone and they said, "But they don't look abused at all." And then they just kept going and kept looking. And I get that response. I do understand that response because if you don't know anything about monkeys, I can get why it seems like there's no abuse happening. And in fact, that's probably one of the hardest barriers to get through. I'm going to do a couple of things with the video and audio. First, I will blur parts of any video clips that I use for the purposes of education or critical commentary. This is to make the viewing experience not an enjoyable one. There are people who lurk on this channel hoping to get some good monkey content for whatever purposes they have in mind. The other thing is that I don't name the animals. I don't play name that monkey because I don't want to send them traffic. So I won't name the channels and I won't name the specific animals. Speaking of names,
The name game. Shirley.
you've all heard of names like Monkey No No, Monkey Yes Yes, Monkey Moo Moo, Bleeborg, Bebop, Clip Clop, Queequeg, Ting Tang, Walla Walla Bing Bang, Feely Keely, Ori Dory, Owen and Glowin, and the Lord Monkey Baron von Munchausen Humperdinck III. That one is a mouthful. And if it's an American channel, then the names are different. They're like The Adventures of Jay and Jubba Joe, Mocha and Mayo, Precious McQueenie, Minnie May, Cutie Bop Snoggin, Winfield, the amazing friendly neighborhood spider monkey, Monkey Boo Boo Honey Bunches of Floof, and Jeff. Yeah.
And then I say the name again with an F, third plane, then a B, fry and a mo. And then I
Now, of course, those are all fictitious names that I made up, but honestly, they're not far from the truth in terms of the naming conventions used by so many of these pet monkey channels. The ones that I'm going to be focusing on today are the pet monkey channels coming out of the Southeast Asian countries of Cambodia, Vietnam, and Indonesia. Now, there are some real key differences across the national lines, and I'm gonna get into that more specifically in another video because that also plays to, YouTube access and various other things. What I wanna focus on today is a topic. This topic is daddy loves monkey or monkey loves daddy, not that kind of daddy. Throughout all of this, I'm going to be referring to the Social Media Animal Cruelty Coalition website, and specifically their page that is called What is the Issue? And on that page, they very clearly delineate different types of abuse. And we all understand that with child abuse, like human child abuse, we understand that there's all kinds of abuse that we can't see. The same is true for many of these channels. I want to go back to my son's friends who were looking at the monkey videos and not understanding how they could be abusive. Part of that is simply not knowing much about primates. And part of that is that these channels don't show overt abuse on the surface, which makes it very, very hard to remove them from YouTube. In the interest of full disclosure, I do want to point out that I have been in consistent contact with wildlife authorities in Vietnam and Indonesia and have the results of at least two different investigations that were initiated over some of these channels. I will not say which channels, and I can't identify the organizations or the people involved with them for safety reasons. What I can do is release little bits of correspondence with their names removed and the context of the organization removed so that you can at least see some of that. So, one of the most popular forms of the Daddy Loves Monkey videos is the kind where there's one baby monkey, maybe two, that lives with dad. And sometimes there's a mom and sometimes there's a kid. Actually, very often there is a kid involved. But the monkey lives with them as a family member, so it basically becomes a kind of child surrogate. It wears clothes and it wanders around the house, always on 2 feet, which should be a warning sign to anybody watching any of these videos. Monkeys don't naturally walk around on 2 feet, they have to be trained to do it, and it can result in some debilitating pain and issues, spinal issues, later in life. The back leg muscles of these monkeys are not developed for long-term bipedal walking. That has to be trained, or developed over time. Often the training is particularly cruel. Their arms are strapped to their sides, or they have their hands bound behind their backs, and they're forced to walk upright if they want to get around at all. But this results in a kind of hopping motion, and most of the time there is just a colossal end over. They just land on their face a lot, and it's really cruel. Another method of training is to withhold food. This video here is extremely popular still. It's an old video, but the monkey gropers just love it because of the obvious suffering of the animal. This channel hasn't posted anything in several months, so I'm assuming that this animal has long since departed this mortal coil. Um, but the poor thing is denied food unless it is in an upright position. It's denied food and it's denied the ability to touch the food. So it's just a really cruel kind of training. If you enjoy watching these kinds of channels and you claim to be very invested in the lives of these monkeys and that you care about the monkeys, you need to understand that long term bipedal walking is a warning sign. It is not ever for the benefit of the monkey. It is always for the entertainment of human beings. So just put that in your cap and think about it. With the Vietnamese channels, they will almost always be in clothing, and they're almost always stump tails as well. Stump tails are one of the 5 native species of monkeys that exist in Vietnam, but I think that they're chosen largely because of their very distinctive appearance, particularly as babies. I've often said that the babies look like little Bernie Sanders, and I stick by it. These animals are also called bear macaques, and as they get older, they will often develop a red face. This redness seems to be in relation to the sun, and it can be pink or it can be just a deep red, so dark that it's almost black. So these stumpies are almost always in brightly colored outfits. Monkeys don't need clothes. They have fur, and it does just fine by them. The clothing is always for the benefit of human beings because people think it looks cute. Clothing can actually interfere with their ability to self regulate their own body temperature. It can interfere with their ability to groom themselves, and it can actually cause some allergic reactions. So the monkeys walk bipedal and they walk around in clothing and they get into shenanigans around the house. And depending on what kind of Daddy Loves Monkey video we're talking about, it may actually be in a little fantasy world where there's like miniature sized grocery stores that it shops in, or it may get into a remote controlled car and go and sell vegetables to a staged actor. All of this kind of thing is scripted and staged, and the Vietnamese channels in particular are very well funded as a rule. They have access to high-end equipment, they clearly understand color theory and lighting and composition and just basic film literacy. Whenever I say things like this, people get really angry with me. So I just want to make it clear that I'm not suggesting that the owners of these channels are all budding versions of Wes Anderson. Maybe they want to be Wes Anderson. I don't know. But it's not difficult to go online and get videos on film color theory and composition and good lighting and all of those basic things. Like that is not difficult at all. So the interest in visual culture is really clearly there. This is one of the channels where the monkey supposedly lives with the family. And I say supposedly because it's really unlikely that the monkey actually lives at that residence. It certainly probably doesn't interact with the family on a regular basis, as is implied throughout the video. And I know this for a few reasons. One, my correspondence with wildlife authorities in Vietnam has revealed that at least a few of these channels are operating with monkeys that are illegally obtained. Almost all of them are illegally obtained because you cannot own any of the 5 native species of monkeys in Vietnam if that animal is born wild. You must have a permit that specifies that the animal was bred in captivity, was domestically bred. Those permits are ridiculously difficult to come by. So it's very likely that the animals are illegally obtained. And because they're illegally obtained, they're probably not going to be kept on location. Two, an investigation by Lady Freethinker was done a few years ago that was really quite good. And I recommend that you watch it, even though it's difficult. And this was actually into the Cambodian videos, but it still applies. It actually showed the fact that these animals were kept in cages when they were not being filmed. So they were put in cages and then trotted out for filming and then put back in cages. 3 is just common sense. You're not going to let a baby monkey wander around your house. They're tornadoes. They're not dogs and cats. They're primates. It's like letting a toddler just loose without supervision wander around your household. It's actually much worse than a toddler because a monkey can get into so much more trouble than a toddler can. And I had a toddler. I understand. So a couple of weeks ago, someone with whom I collaborate found a video in which the VO left the camera running and the mic hot and then forgot to edit out a little bit at the end that was particularly interesting. The monkey is just kind of like hanging out and chewing on something and waiting for instruction. And you can see that by the way that it keeps looking up at the VO. And the VO is talking to someone off camera. And they say at the end, now let's shoot hundreds of 3-minute videos a day. And then a little bit later, there are probably dozens of video here. I got this by checking through the YouTube subtitles. So I basically asked YouTube to generate subtitles for me. And then I also ran it through an auditory translation app. And I also sent it to a colleague that speaks Vietnamese. And the translation is approximately correct. Basically, what the VO is saying is that they are going to do a long filming process in which they will edit lots of little videos that they can upload. Now, we've known that this is the mode of operation for a lot of the channels for a long time. The Lady Freethinker investigation, in fact, was pretty explicitly clear that most of the monkeys are kept in cages and then they're brought out for filming on a regularly scheduled basis. So, like once a week or once every couple of weeks. And then they're filmed for hours at a time and then they're put back into their cages. And then the footage is edited and broken down, and then it's packaged in small bits that can be released on a daily basis. And this gives the illusion that they're filming every day, and you're getting a kind of daily peek into their daily lives. I also want to show you some of the editing that's very clever to make the story kind of go a particular way. So in this video, this is Monkey. We're just gonna call him Ishmael. Call me Ishmael. Sorry, I need coffee. We'll call the monkey Queequeg. It's from the same book. So Monkey Queequeg is going to get some rice, and people love this because it just Monkey Queequeg is so smart. So Monkey Queequeg is going to jump up on the counter and then go over to the rice maker and start scooping out rice. And what's really interesting is that the camera angle is far back enough that you can see all of Monkey Queequeg. But when the scooping starts, the editing changes. There's a shift in perspective, and it's just happens, so most people don't even notice it. It looks like a zoom in, except you don't get the actual zoom. It's clearly a cut. And the reason why it's a cut is because what we're not seeing here is the human actually helping Monkey Queequeg scoop the rice into the bowl. And we're not seeing it because the illusion is meant to imply that Monkey Queequeg can scoop that rice right into the bowl all by his or herself. And that, of course, is part of the narrative, like how smart and self-proficient Monkey Queequeg really is, right? There's constant edits like this. The other type of Daddy Loves Monkey channel that comes out of Vietnam is the kind that I referred to earlier, which is the kind where the monkey doesn't really live with the family so much, or it might, but it's just not shown in that particular way as much. It's usually filmed in these very elaborate sets. The example I used earlier is a very elaborately constructed small grocery store in which the monkey will go shopping. And something to note here that's very important is that if there are props with letters like signs, those signs will be in English, not Vietnamese, because the viewing audience is largely English speaking. So these videos that are prop heavy that have this kind of little fantasy world, they're marketed largely to children. I mean, they're part of YouTube Kids. And they have lots of special effects, like glittery things and shapes that pop up and lots of little sound effects that pop up on the screen like wow. And if I hear that one more time, oh my god, I'm gonna bust my eardrums. I do want to say that when we talk about the baby monkey videos in relation to children, it can get dark very, very quickly. One of the reasons why stump tails are popular is because when they are bathed, they look like small human children. If you want to know more about that, I really recommend that you head over to Yardfish's channel. Yardfish, if that really is his name, has actually done a lot of outstanding independent research on this issue and has talked to experts and is in touch with lots of people who really, really know what they're doing in regards to this particular topic. The content is very hard to watch, and it is definitely the darker side to all of this, but it's so critically important. So with these Daddy Loves Monkey videos, and also with some of the pet videos coming out of Cambodia, and sometimes Indonesia, there is a very specific progression that happens. It goes like this. Baby monkey is introduced to the family. Baby monkey grows up a little bit and wanders around the house and has shenanigans and all kinds of stuff. One day, baby monkey gets sick. This is usually conveniently at the time when baby monkey is becoming closer towards adolescence and is less cute than baby monkey once was, and probably also a little bit harder to handle. So baby monkey gets sick, and baby monkey has to go to the hospital. Baby monkey dies, at least according to what we hear from the VO. I mean, I've seen all kinds of stories. What has likely happened is that the animal was abandoned or euthanized, killed, or killed and sold for medicinal parts. There is unfortunately a kind of thriving market for monkey parts for medicinal use. The monkey is lucky if it can get to a sanctuary. Most of the time, that just simply doesn't happen. There is no space for that to happen. So, either way, baby monkey disappears off the channel. And then they simply introduce a new baby monkey, but the cycle is the same. And it goes on and on and on. I've seen it repeated so many times. I want you to ask yourself this question if you are still committed at this point to defending these channels. How many times have you seen adult monkeys in these channels? Maybe there are 5 that regularly have adult monkeys. People want to see baby monkeys. They don't want to see adult monkeys. I know that the people who frequent this channel often do want to see adult monkeys, but that's usually the exception to the rule. And when the babies stop being cute, they're no longer profitable. So this actually brings me to the Indonesian channels. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on them because I actually want to talk about these channels in relation to another topic as well. Um, but the Daddy Loves Monkey Indonesian channels are often grittier in aesthetic. They have a kind of DIY look to them, less dependence on props, more like just somebody filming in their home. People who are not taken in by the production of the Vietnamese channels often are taken in by what looks like honesty on some of the Indonesian channels. A very common script is that the VO will go to one of the illicit marketplaces and purchase one of the baby monkeys they've been poached and they're just stuck in cages and you can pick them up for next to nothing. They look pathetic, and so the VO will go and get them, and often they'll say that I had to rescue this baby monkey out of this market because it just looks so pathetic. So they take it home and then they raise it and then release it into the wild somewhere. And that is, I mean, the animal is not likely to survive long because it was taken from its mother and it didn't learn how to survive in the wild. And it certainly doesn't know how to survive in a troop or outside of a troop. But also, the very act of going and purchasing these monkeys from these markets perpetuates the illicit pet trade and it perpetuates the act of poaching. And supporting these channels by watching also perpetuates that trade. It's really, really important for people to understand this. One of the biggest problems that we encounter with these daddy loves monkey types of channels is that people simply don't believe it is abusive. And I need to remind you that not all abuse looks the same. Just because you're not seeing a monkey get hit, for example, does not mean that this is a healthy, thriving environment for that animal. It can be one of neglect and one of harm while still looking like it's a positive thing. If you genuinely care about these animals, be open to learning that maybe watching them in this context is not a good thing for them, and in fact is actually very, very bad for them. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, Monkey Sentinel, if that really is your name, I, I don't have anything. I don't have anything to go past this. I just usually include this bit in all my videos, and I couldn't work it in today. If you've hung out this long, I appreciate it. Not because this channel is monetized, because it's not. I don't profit from any of this, but because I appreciate you being here and willing to learn and listen, and I hope that it was helpful to you. So, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. No, wait. Come back. Are you still here? If you're still here, I gotta tell you something. Happy Pride Month! It's June, and it is Pride Month, and so that means happy gay people, and happy trans people, happy non-binary people, happy drag queens and kings, and happy unicorns and frogs and rainbows and glitter and all of the fabulous stuff. Happy all of that.
To last throughout the years. Shirley, Shirley, Bo Burley, Bonana, Banana, Bo Burley.